Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Fitton Centre for Creative Arts. My name is Ian Mackenzie Thurley. I'm the Executive Director here. It's my great pleasure to welcome you, and we're really excited to have everybody here. We would like to thank the Journal News, our series sponsor. We have some members of the press here today. Thank you so much for their series sponsorship of Celebrating Self. To Fort Hamilton Hospital down here at the front, thank you so much for their event sponsorship today. We really do appreciate it. To Cincinnati Catering for a fantastic meal. Thank you so much. We do appreciate that. So do our bellies. And to Hillendale Communities for pie. Apple pie, you can't beat that. It's my favorite type of pie. So thank you very much to Hillendale and all of our sponsors. We really do appreciate it. With that, can I remind you that we are still in the middle of our annual support campaign. You would have already seen things in the mail and on our Facebook. We look to raise some cash over this time of year. We really appreciate the support, the financial support of our donors and our sponsors, and to generous people throughout the community. So if you're able to support us, small bills are fine, large bills are great, and we like those really big checks. Those ones are... So we will take them in any size. We really do appreciate it. We have a lot of things we try to do here at the Fitton, both here and throughout the community, and every generous dollar is really, really appreciated, and we appreciate the support throughout the community. So much going on here. Last night we had a first meeting of our film club. We have a brand new cinema coming to the Fitton Centre. You're going to be able to check that out very, very soon. It looks fantastic. Of course, we have Mr. Kim Nuxhall coming up. So lots going here at the Fitton Centre. We are going through to May of this year with our programming. Get your tickets soon, get them fast, because we do sell out early on lots of our shows. We'd love to see you here. Come see something new, try something different. There's plenty on offer. We always love to see you here at the Fitton Centre. So we're excited to kick off this year with a name that will be familiar to most Hamiltonians, I could assume. I kind of missed the boat on missing a few people when I arrived. I arrived here in Hamilton in 2000, but didn't for the first time, but didn't really, I didn't start to live here until 2013. So there's a few people I missed, and Joe Nuxhall was one of them. I didn't have the opportunity to meet the man himself, which is disappointing, because I hear lots of things, and obviously, for those who know me, I'm a huge Reds fan, huge Reds fan. For those who've known me overseas, it's a bit crazy staying up at midnight to watch ball games or listen to ball games, and planning tickets for my World Series adventure, which never happened 3 years ago, all those sorts of things. But when you hear of Joe, and of course Joe had an incredible baseball career and an incredible broadcasting career, but when people speak of him, I never heard him spoken about as a ball player or a broadcaster. I heard him talking about a generous human being, a philanthropist, a community member. That's what people started with. That's the conversations I heard about him. Oh, and by the way, he'd set records in the major leagues. He was the voice of baseball in Cincinnati and surrounds. But people talked about that, and they still talk the same way about the family. I've been very, very fortunate to get to know the Nuxhall family, particularly with the Street Spark mural, as you would have seen over on B Street, down behind the Quarter Barrel, which is opening soon. We've got the faces of the old and new Joe up there. We're really proud of that. And going to the family the first time with a mural of somebody's dad, it's a pretty big deal, because you want to put it in front of someone and have them go, well, this is great. Not go, oh my gosh, that looks nothing like my dad. And the Nuxhalls were phenomenal, phenomenal to work with in putting that together, and I really appreciated their support. It was a big part of making all of that happen. We do have the Joe Nuxhall chapter here today of the Reds Hall of Fame. Yeah, we have a great relationship with the Reds and the Reds Hall of Fame. More news of that to come very, very soon. But as many of you know, the Miracle Leagues and the Miracle Fields do incredible work with our community. If you've ever been out to them, and I got to go out to them for the first time last year, it's an amazing facility. And Kim himself does not sit in an ivory tower. The first time I went out there to meet with Kim, I was greeted by a man with earmuffs on, and a leaf blower was out blowing the parking lot, making sure everything was together, and asked him to send me the way to the front office so I could meet Mr. Nuxhall. That was Mr. Nuxhall. He was out there taking care of everything. He takes the family, and he take great pride. It's a lot of work for those who run organizations and facilities. It's a lot of work to make these happen. It takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of great volunteer effort. So we know all about that, and they do incredible things for the community at large. And if you see the smiles on the faces of the players, of the people involved, of the families out there, the enrichment is beyond belief. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce you today to Mr. Kim Nuxhall and the Joe Nuxhall Miracle League Fields.
Thank you, Ian. That's an awesome introduction. I appreciate that. I'm already tearing up. If anyone knows, I'm a Nuxhall. We cry, so I guess I'm going to say deal with it. So thank you all for coming. I'm so glad the weather turned out nice as opposed to what it has been. Just curious, if there was 6 inches of snow, how many of you would still be here? Thank you. Thank you. Actually, I wouldn't be here, but thank you. I appreciate it. Well, I'll tell you what, I've been really nervous about this because I finally got to the point in my life, about 20 years ago, where I could speak in front of people. And I've done a lot of, speaking and so on. But for this day, I've been a little nervous because, well, I always said, I'm not doing a PowerPoint until I get a cell phone. I don't have a cell phone, but I'm going to do a PowerPoint. So bear with me. I got my little clicker here. I'm very uncomfortable holding it. I'm probably going to be one of those that does this instead of the cool guy that does. So I'm going to learn my skills here. I failed miserably. Brother Phil, he's been there and done this, and Ian, they said keep it, not too many slides. Here's what happened. Over Christmas, I went through Mom's slides. You all probably have those big Kodak disc circular things. My mom has 2,000 of them. I went through every one of them. I narrowed a bit, don't panic. I narrowed it down to 800, not for this. So, I'm overwhelmed, I'm going to do this. And then I go through scrapbooks. Mom has a wonderful collection of Dad's history, 10 or 12 scrapbooks. There's more pictures. So I'm like, holy cow. So anyway, I'm going with it. Bear with me. I'll go as quick as I can. I did bounce the idea off of my wife and my granddaughter first. And here's kind of their reaction. Yeah, I don't know if that's of horror or excitement, I'm not sure. So I put the presentation together and I showed it to them for the first time, and that's how that went. So hopefully it'll be better than that. But so here's the plan real quick. I wanted to go over the history of Dad. If it wasn't for Dad, I'm not standing here. His early days, playing days, announcing days, why he did what he did. I really thought a lot about that in the last few years, really. Our legacy projects, before he passed, we put together the projects, the scholarship fund, actually, he did, the character education fund, Miracle League, our future dreams and projects, which we never stopped doing for our kids. And then I'll take any questions at the end. So fasten your seat belts. I guess here we go. So this is Dad at age 6 months. I did not know he invented the wave at age 6 months. So if you're ever wondering where the wave came from, Dad, when he was six months old. Dad was a huge kid. He's blessed with a lot of athletic talent. This is a first grade picture. And what stands out to me is the size of his head. It's like, man, he's a big kid. But I'd love to have seen another first grader next to him. So this is a shot of when he was 12, which really says how big he was, because my grandpa Orville there was 6'3", big burly guy, and here's Dad at 12. One of the things that I read in the scrapbooks was really interesting to me. There weren't any baseball teams for Dad to play on at school, so his dad Orville put him on adult league teams at age 8, 9, and 10 years old. He's playing with guys 25 years old when he's 8 years old. That kind of gives you an idea of the athletic ability he was gifted with. Here he is at age, I believe, 14 or 15 with his brothers Bob and Don. He has another brother, Gene, as well. This is a cool picture that was sent to me that I had never seen before. And I'm close to finishing the research on this, but what's really intriguing about this, a lot of you know he was signed at age 15. The really cool story is they were out actually scouting him at age 14 with his dad playing on a local adult league team as well. So the scouts wanted to sign Grandpa, his dad, and my dad when he was age 14. And I think this is a shot of when he was 14 years old. So I'm thinking about that time is when he was actually contacted by the Reds. It's one of those pictures, you'd love to have your dad back and ask him about it, especially, it's like, man, was that your bicycle you rode, to it? So that was cool. This is Dad again with his father. And this is the day he signed with the Reds. They turned it down when they first offered. Grandpa had 5 kids at the time, and that just wasn't going to work. Dad was 14. They weren't going to let him go off to minor leagues at age 14. So they waited to the ripe old age of 15, and he signed his contract actually on February 18th, 1944. This is supposedly the day he signed here. You can see the size of his hands, too. This is the actual contract. Unfortunately, the first page wouldn't come out, but it shows the $175 that he signed for a month. But the signing bonus is $300. And another $500 if he stuck with the team for 60 days. You can see his autograph down there. So that's kind of cool to look at that many years ago, 1944. Playing days, as you know, he started on June 10th, 1944. This is a picture I had never seen before in one of the scrapbooks. This is the day he pitched in 1944, taken before the game. This is his manager, Bill McKechnie, as they sat in the dugout. And, he never really thought he would get into a game and pitch. He's sitting in the dugout. The Cardinals are beating up on the Reds. Some things never change. 14-15 to nothing, and all of a sudden he hears his name. Next thing you know, he's pitching to the St. Louis world champion St. Louis Cardinals. And I think what's cool about it, to me, as a baseball fan, is he always said, I got the first 2 batters out. What would have happened if I got the 3rd batter? He got the first 2 batters out, and then I think he walked the batter, and up steps Stan Musial, Stan the man. And Stan actually got the first hit ever off of Dad, which I think is kind of cool. Didn't go so well after that. I don't know how many runs and so on. Things just kind of fell apart. And the Reds decided it might be best if he gets some minor league time, and they sent him down to Birmingham. He's at age 15, which again is kind of a mind-boggling thought to think. He's 15 years old. He pitches in the major leagues. One game, they send him down a week later, and he's on a train by himself to Birmingham. And he was on his own to find his own place to live. So that's kind of a neat picture to see, that the picture of the Birmingham Barons. The only year he spent 7 years in the minor leagues, and the one year he wasn't was 1946. And the reason was, when he signed his contract, he became ineligible for sports, high school sports. So he missed his sophomore and junior year, and he really wanted to finish out his high school career. And Dad was an amazing basketball player. To give you an idea, so he misses his sophomore year, he misses his junior year, he comes back his senior year, and he's captain of the All-State team. So it kind of gives you an idea of the talent he had. He was 3rd team All-State in football, too. This is after sitting out 2 years. This is a cool picture I found, too. One of his best buddies in life was Wally Post. Fred can relate to this. But this is when Dad played on the Muncie Reds. He took 46 off, came back with the Reds, pitched in Muncie, Indiana. And Wally Post at age 17, Dad at age 18. Cool thing about this is Wally and him became buddies. But Wally was an outfielder, if you remember. Dad was a pitcher. And this season, Wally Post, his record was better pitching than Dad's was. Dad had a higher batting average than Wally that year. So I thought that was kind of a cool fact. So this is a picture of Tulsa Oilers, 1948. He was there then, and then he went the following year to Charleston. The other team doesn't pop in my head right now, but he actually finished up in Tulsa in 1951, where my brother Phil was born, right there in Tulsa. He's a Tulsa Oiler, I guess. And back in 1952 is when he came back up with the Reds, had a really good career. This is one of the highlights, I'm sure, is 1955 All-Star game. He was on the 55 and 56 All-Star team. I thought this was cool to, Stan Musial. This is, Stan signing this picture for Dad. I thought that was kind of neat, that many years ago that he faced him at 15. The one year he wasn't with the Reds is 1961 when the Reds won the pennant. There's something to that, I don't know, but he was traded to Kansas City. And this is a picture actually in Kansas City and I remember this picture too, when Dad went on the road. They dressed up and had his bag, so he's heading out for a road trip in Kansas City. Funny story about this is I vividly remember when Mom told us, I was standing in the kitchen at their house. She said, "Your father's been traded to Kansas City." I remember telling Mom, "I'm not going. I'll live here by myself." And there I am in Kansas City right there. Yeah. Seemed like a good idea. Fortunately, he eventually got back with the Reds. Kansas City released him that year in '61. He was actually picked up with the Baltimore Orioles for a little bit, Los Angeles Angels for a little bit. But the Reds picked him back up, sent him to AAA with the San Diego Padres. And this is a shot I remember vividly as well. This was right before, I don't know what we were laughing about, Phil, but it's funny, the things, probably, yeah, because Phil was holding a baseball glove. That was, yeah. But I just drank some orange pop, and it came flowing out of my nose. So that was a picture back when Dad. But he got sent back to the Reds in '62. Kind of a cool shot. Jim Maloney there, and Vada Pinson, Jim O'Toole. This is actually what I think is the last time he ever pitched for the Reds. This was spring training in '67. And the reason, his career was, he was getting older and so on. And another reason was number 38 there, sitting down. That was Gary Nolan at age 18. And he knew Gary had a future. And I really think Dad kind of stepped aside and said, "Gary, come on over and take over." So that's how that turned out in terms of his playing career. Playing career, he had a nice career. A lot of people ask, why isn't he in the Hall of Fame? Didn't have a Hall of Fame baseball career. He had a great career, 135 wins, I think it was, but not a Hall of Fame career. So in '67, he went to the broadcast booth. I'm going to back up a little bit. He actually started broadcasting with Miami University. Ray Motley, WMOH, asked him to do some games during the off season. So Dad did basketball games in the off season. This is a picture of with the team up in Buffalo, actually near Niagara Falls. So then he went into the broadcasting booth. His first partner was actually Claude Sullivan. Unfortunately, Claude had a great voice, if any of you remember. And I remember in particular how I remember how it became raspy and so on. And sadly, he passed away at age 42. But Dad's next broadcasting partner was Jim McIntyre, stayed on a few years. And I know you recognize this guy, Al Michaels. It's funny, I remember Dad saying, "He's not going to be here long." And someone in Al's family was with NBC. He says, "I'm telling you, he's going to work someday at NBC." And the rest is history in terms of Al Michaels. And of course, Marty and Dad. Marty came along in '74. They had a wonderful career. One of the cool kind of records still holds right now. They're the longest running broadcasting duo in the major leagues, I think at 32 years. So that was his broadcasting career. And I always tell people, he played ball, he broadcast. That really wasn't what he was about. He was really about giving. And darn it, I was doing good. This is where I think I thought a lot about. Darn it. Bear with me. The significant events. Why he did what he did. Why did he give back? So I think, I just saw this the other day in the scrapbook, and I think back of the Hamilton Nights, and those of you, I'm sure somebody in here participated in the Hamilton Night, but I think this stuck with him more than anything. You can imagine being 20-some years old, reading the headlines where 3,500 people come to watch a game in honor of you. I think that sticks, and it certainly did with Dad. I mean, look at that. You're thinking, that's probably all of Hamilton Little League right there, down on the field at Crosley Field. But I just thought, wow, that had to really, I know it had an impact on Dad. There's no doubt in my mind. He spent his life giving back for moments like this. This is us at one of those Hamilton Nights, and I was hoping Mayor Moeller would be here. This is his dad, and I've always said Pat Moeller had more to do with the success of Dad than anyone in Hamilton. With the Journal, I could go on and on about that. Pat just had so many wonderful things to write and never said a bad word about anyone, and certainly Dad. This is one of his proud moments of holding up the key to the city. Mom still has that in her basement. It's kind of cool. A lot of people don't know, and this is what I would say significant event number 2. A lot of people don't know Dad had a little sister. And this got me. I had seen it before, but in the scrapbook, there was articles, and I hadn't read those articles. So this is when Dad signed at age 15. You can just see the joy in each other's eyes. So the article read, she passed away a week later at age 2.5, pneumonia. So I know, that was a significant event for Dad. Third is really probably for Phil and I, this is my grandmother. This is our cousin. Shauna was born within 24 hours. We were born of each other, I should say. She was born with what they would call back then, mental retardation. So I know that had an impact on Dad watching his brother Bob raise Shauna. I know it did for Phil and I. Phil went on to work in special needs as a speech pathologist all of his life. So that was inspiration number 3. And Dad just went on from there. Anytime he could, he loved father and son games. That was fun for us, or it was for me, Phil. I don't know about you, but here he is helping organization. This was actually just 3 months or so before he died. West Side Little League, when they came back and celebrated their trip to Little League World Series, he sat on the bench with them. Go back to his buddy Wally Post, significant event number 4. I think the passing of Wally impacted him, and what took place after Wally's passing was his family started a golf outing and raising money for the Cancer Fund up in Mercer County. And one of the cool things in the last 5-6 years, Fred could share with you too, man, we get to go up to the annual Wally Post golf outing. So I know that had a big event or a big impact on Dad. And speaking of the golf, that's when he started in 1985, the Joe Nuxhall Scholarship Fund. He always, I think if he had, I don't say it would be a regret, but something he would wanted to do is get a college education. So he really had a place in his heart for helping kids. But he actually started it, this is one of the first outings here, still held at Elks. We're in our 34th year this year. But he actually, the first year, helped March of Dimes and Butler County Developmental Disabilities, I believe, Fred, for a year or two. I don't know if you were here then. This is last year, actually, with our grandkids in 2007. Here with Marty and Chris Welch, Tom Brenneman. That's actually Josh Hamilton, if you remember him. He was one of the last Reds players to come out. Wonderful guy. I hope he's doing well. He came out, spent the whole day. One of the few players that hung around, signed autographs. Usually they play and they leave. He hung out and just was wonderful with everyone, brought his wife out. This is last year. Some of our recipients, we asked them to come out after they received their scholarships, come out and volunteer at the outing. And this is our 2017 scholarship winners. I want to point out Linda Yager from the Fairfield Community Foundation. They handle our the nuts and bolts of the scholarships, passing them out. So thank you, Linda, for keeping that going. We're going to keep it going strong here on June 18th. This year is the 34th. Character Education Fund is really, I guess, my baby. Just a little background on me. I got to do some cool things in my life. That's me there to the right. Phil off to the right, holding the ball bat there. But, just growing up and getting to do be on the field. My first passion was baseball, and I couldn't have been in a better situation. I hang out at Crosley Field. I'm shagging fly balls at age 7 years old with Veda Penson and Gus Bell and Wally Post. You talk about a dream come true. Here's another shot when I was a little bit older, but every spring training, and Phil and I are always embarrassed to tell people this, especially nowadays, we were taken out of school for 6 weeks every year for spring training. I'm loving it. I'm hanging out at the ballpark every day. I took my books, of course. We did our schoolwork. I actually got a chance to play. This is my game face. I had a little high school career, did okay. Got picked up by the Reds. I went to a tryout. It's one of those days where I just had it going on. And I think they looked at me. I was 17 years old. I was, thin. They thought my dad, my uncles, they all played pro ball. They kind of projected me to grow and so on, and I think they took a chance on me. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. But I played 2.5 years in the minor leagues, had a great experience. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. So while I was going to, or playing ball, I also went to Miami. Redskins back then. But I went in the off season, and Miami was on quarters at the time. And that's one thing Dad kind of Mom instilled in us. Didn't force us. It was kind of like, well, you're going to college. You're going to go to work or you're going to go to college. So I went to college, ended up with a degree in physical education. And perfect job for me. I loved kids, loved working with kids, loved sports. And I went on and taught 32 years at Central Elementary. And I got about halfway through my career, and this is where I was. Like 20 years, man, I don't know if I can keep doing this. Kids were kind of getting to me and so on. And I saw this video, Teaching in the 21st Century. It had a segment on character education, and it lit passion number 2, character education. I knew right then and there my career was about to change. The last half of my career was totally different than my first. I became focused on character education. I went to school that following Monday. I had a whiteboard. I wrote down respect and responsibility. I sat and talked to every class about it, and then I just became really obsessed with teaching it. This is a picture of the whiteboard later on. I listed all the virtues. I used the term virtues, and we talked about them. I just started with attentiveness. We always practiced every day with my kids, being attentive. It shows you're respectful when you look at someone in the eye. So it just reinforced those traits. Came up with different strategies. I put pictures on the wall. Character is how you choose to use your virtues. I had a little laser pointer. Voila, how about that? So I actually had a laser pointer at school, so we would pause and I would point to this. I would ask the kids to reflect. And here's one of the key strategies I have. People kind of chuckle at this, and it is kind of funny, but very effective. I wore this around my neck. Please discipline yourself so others don't have to. Powerful thing. I wanted them to understand it came from them. They had this power to be good if they wanted to. I didn't want to discipline anyone. My kids disciplined themselves, and they truly did. This was kind of our level of behavior and identified behavior. Got them to think about where they were. And they were always, you're always in these 4 levels. Level A, anarchy. You're out of control. Hopefully you're not there. Level B was bossing and bullying. C, cooperation. Those were all externally motivated. Cooperation was fine, but were you cooperative because I'm standing here, or are you cooperative because you want to? Next level is democracy. You're doing the right thing, even if I'm not around. Excellence is just being in the habit of doing the right thing. What you do speaks so much louder than what you say. How high are you on the trust steps? I talked a lot about trust. I might be talking to the class and just walk out and leave the room. I would come back in 5 seconds and reinforce, I can trust you. Talked about how important trust was. Your first job, you're working at McDonald's and you're in charge of the cash drawer. Can your boss trust you when you're gone? So we talked about how high everyone is up on the trust steps. You have 3 choices when you don't get what you want. This is great for elementary. Cry and whine. They did it, and they knew they did it. Get angry and mad. They did it. They knew they did it. Or be patient and understanding. So we just talked about that. I got them to understand what was going on inside of them. This is inside of the gym. Unfortunately, it's been torn down. This was the hardest part about seeing Central being torn down. It's a brand new school now, but man, we had a neat atmosphere in there. This is kind of cool. The steps. I actually had some of the behavior unit, the freshman kids, came over and painted these steps for us. So it was a great experience for them. These are kids that are having trouble with behavior, but they had the opportunity to do this. We didn't talk about how perfect it was or how perfect the letters were. They did it. It had an impact on our kids. We had the clock, and I got this idea. Hey, they're always looking at the clock. By golly, it's always time for good character, too. We integrated into our lessons. Here's a parachute I found that has the character traits on it, or the virtues. This is my buddy Becky Doak and Marcia, her aunt's here. Marcia, you'd be awful proud of Becky right there. Becky did a lot. We did a lot together, coming up with different creative ideas. The basketballs, you don't see them very well, but the basketballs had character traits on them. Did dribbling a basketball with respect on it change their life? No, but they knew character was important. This is something I encourage them to do, is to make posters. I don't care what they did. What they weren't graded on posters. If you bring something in that has a virtue on it, I'm putting it up on the wall. By the end of the year, I had literally 1,000 posters on the wall. But it made them feel special. They were part of what was going on in the culture. This is my favorite. I'm so post to be responsible to do my schoolwork. I love that. So post. Hooked on phonics right there. Yeah. And then along came Sean Casey. I could spend 2 hours on Sean Casey. I was doing, here's how it happened. I was doing monthly assemblies at school. We talk about respect this month, hard work the next month, courage the next month. Sean just came with the Reds, and I watched him. I always like watching the ball players, how they interact. Sean just had something special. And I remember asking Dad, do you think Sean would come up to an assembly? Dad says, write him a letter. So, dear Sean, I'm Joe's son. I've been doing monthly assemblies. Love to have you come up and do an assembly. Don't want to talk about baseball. Want to talk about character. Dad takes it down on a Sunday morning. It's probably 2003. Sean calls me that night. Hey, Kim, this is Sean Casey. First of all, he thought it was a girl that was going to answer. That's a funny story that he tells. He was kind of shocked, like, whoa, I didn't know Joe had a son. I thought it was a daughter. But anyway, so I asked Sean to come out. What an experience to have a major league ball player come out. We talked about respect and responsibility and hard work and love and so on. So I saw how it impacted, how it worked in the classroom. We had a very diverse school at Central. There's 70% kids living on free lunch. So, I just saw the impact that it has. So we started the Character Education Fund in 2003. And again, the Fairfield Community Foundation, we had a big event. I know some of you were there when we started that in 2003. Bob Evans chimed in with a Character Creates Winners program. We had an assembly at the high school with Sean, talked about, again, character. This was a cool thing before opening day, probably 2000 and maybe 4 or 5. Bob Evans again helped us, and the kids got to be a part of the parade, kind of spreading the word. You may have gotten the phone book a few years ago. You remember this? This is the front cover. I can't think who did the phone books, Donnelly or something, Butler County phone book. Put this on. I thought this was a cool picture. A lot of these kids are now in college now. This is a poster we did of family values. This got out to 25,000 homes. This was part of the Casey Character in Schools project. Sean funded this whole project. We printed 12,000 of these along with some pamphlets. And we did this card of Sean, a baseball card, which I thought was cool. I'll never forget the first conversation about this with Sean. I said, Case, I said, how about a baseball card that doesn't have any baseball? Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah, let's do it, man. How many you want to do? And I said, I don't know. What do you think? He funded the whole thing. We printed 100,000. This is the front of them. We printed 100,000 of these, sent them all over the world. Bob Evans printed another 100,000. They put them in a special, the kids' menus, all the Bob Evans around, so we got to spread the word. This is a huge event. When I look at TV Hamilton and Steve Caldwell, wow, you've seen it on TV Hamilton. Sean read this book, calls and leaves a message, says, Nux, we got to do something. You got to read this book. This is one powerful story. If you've not seen the Building Men for Others event in 2005, chime in. That's all I'll say. And I thank Steve for still playing that. I still have people come up to me, Steve, and talk about Building Men for Others, all centered around this amazing book. This book is in its 37th printing, to give you an idea. We passed out 5,000 copies. So we did this event at Fairfield in 2005. That's Joe Ehrman and Jeffrey Marks, the author of the book, and Sean, of course, Dad, and Bonnie and I. We did a following year, and there's Sean getting the crowd riled up. Following year, we did one in Columbus, and Clark Kellogg, you may remember from Ohio State, wonderful human being, helped support that. One of the things we do is our parade. We get Middletown Madison. My buddy up there, Jason Jackson, brings his little character crusaders. So this is Ronnie Oster with what I say was a world record for most Nuxies in a parade. Our Reds Rookie program we support, the Character Fund does. It's a character building baseball camp from kids from all over Butler County. We bus them from Middletown, New Miami, Hamilton, Lakota, over 300 of them a year. This will be our 12th year. We have a CI acronym, REDS acronym, C for cooperation, I for integrity, R for respect, E for education, D for determination, and S for spirit. These are grandkids trying to reinforce those traits. This is a few years ago. This is the camp, actually. How do we integrate character into baseball? One of the things we do is just name the teams after different virtues. Here's the reliable Rockies. You might be on the respectful Reds and so on. This is Matt Foley from Saturday Night Live, motivational speaker. You guys don't get that one? No. Darn it. Matt Foley, if you don't, you're going to live in a van down by the river. Anybody see that on Saturday Night Live? No, that one lost. Shucks. Anyway, that's me with Todd Frazier. Cool moment here with Todd. Todd, we asked him to come out and speak. It was a night game the night before. He didn't get in until 3 in the morning. He absolutely could have just blown this whole thing up, but he came out and spoke to the kids. Whoops, sorry. Here he is with the kids. Really, really neat moment for our kids and me too. Scooter Jeanette actually this year came out almost the day after he hit the 4 home runs with the Reds. My buddy Doug Coates right here did a character book. We support that, Pitching for Success. We're going to give a copy away today. So Doug's also our treasurer. This is when we visited Linden Elementary School, and we support Hamilton, of course, with their character initiative. And one of the things we do with the Character Fund, we give away a Paul Tom Scholarship, the legend right over here. You know Paul? I mean this, it's an honor to do this. We give $1,000 to a Choraleer of character. Paul started the Choraleers. Phil was one of the first ones, but it really is an honor, Paul, to give we give $1,000 scholarship in your honor each year. We're going to continue to do that. Here's my last day of teaching, my very last class. So you can see my little sign there. Please discipline yourself. But that was a bittersweet thing. I'm happy to say it was the best year ever of my teaching career. So I didn't go out as a bitter teacher in any way. So then the Miracle League Fields. So that started probably 13, 14 years ago. I was watching an HBO special by Brian Gumbel about this little girl, Lauren Gundler. Lauren would come home with the paperwork to be on a softball team, to be on a soccer team, but she could never fill it out. She couldn't play. So the town got together, it's a little town outside of Atlanta, Georgia, got this idea to build a ball field out of rubber and called it the Miracle League. I saw that. I got a hold of them. I got a hold of the DVD. I remember going down the basement, showing it to Dad. This is probably back in 2004 and 5. And I thought somehow, some way, someday, we're going to build a Miracle League field for Butler County. And we drudged along for 6 years trying to raise money. It was not going well. And all of a sudden, I ran into a high school football buddy of mine. And he stopped me at the bank. He said, "How's the project going?" I said, "It's not going very well." He says, "What do you need?" And I said, "Everything." So he's in construction. And that, again, is a whole nother story where just high school buddies came along, electricians, electrical unions, companies that normally would bid against each other, put all that aside and helped us start the Miracle League. And this picture reminds me of my buddy Tish back there, board member Tish, my right-hand guy at the Miracle League. Tish, I know you remember that day when it was sleeting and snowing in December of 2011. Both were there with tears because this is when we broke ground there at the Miracle League. And both of us thought, wow, it's finally happening. So this was kind of a cool moment. If you remember back in 2011 and 12, it was an unbelievable winter of warm weather. I don't know how many winters where a double rainbow shows up, but there's a lot of people thinking Dad sent that one down right there. So this is just part of the construction. This was a neat thing. You have all seen the Extreme Makeover shows. Scott Dallas did 8 of them. He was on board from the day I showed him the video. They brought their team down. They framed and roofed this building in 8 minutes, or not 8 minutes. It would be fast. They were really fast. 8 hours, though, was pretty good, too. So you can see the finished product, our little area up underneath the concession stand. This is the guys actually putting the field. This was amazing. This was hot summer, I think in June. I mean, brutally hot. The field's asphalt. These guys from Cleveland, this crew, were on their hands and knees. They mixed the rubber, brought it over in wheelbarrows, dumped it, and 2 other guys, or 3, are down their hands and knees, did this 2 entire fields. It was incredible to watch. July 28, 2012, we opened. It was phenomenal. This is an aerial view of that. We had, I don't know, maybe close to 1,000 people there. It was an amazing day. Sean was there with us. One of the cool moments, you can see it here. We had these vintage ball players and Sean, and I was showing people the video. We have video boards. And I showed them the HBO video, how it all got started, and we snuck Sean and the video and the vintage players in the cornfield, and then we played Field of Dreams. I'm telling you, whoa. They came walking out of that field. You know how it went from there. That's my buddy John, the announcer. This is his granddaughter, one of the cool moments and cool pictures from our opening day right here. His granddaughter, Zoe, one of our little all-stars here, just melts your heart. This is another one of our youth league. We have youth league and adult league, ages 4 to 72 years old play. And we have one of our all-star adult league players. Where's Dwayne? There he is in the back. Stand up, Dwayne. Attaboy. Yeah. And this is the neat story, too. This is Irvin. Tish was walking in the park of Fairfield and came across this man practicing using his cane. He had become blind just within the past, probably 10 years ago. He was bitten by a mosquito and got encephalitis, lost sight in one eye. A few years later, lost sight in the other eye. Miraculously changed his life. Tish got him out. He's playing. We have a beeping softball, so Irvin can hit. You might have seen the story on Channel 12. He came out and spoke to our Reds rookie kids. Phenomenal. Special park features. Some of the things we've added since 2012. Like I said, we do not stop dreaming for our kids. This is an automatic bat. Some of you may know Bobby Schuster. This one really gets me. Bobby was playing softball his summer year after high school and ran into a telephone pole, became a quadriplegic all of his life. He sent me a note after we opened up. I just someday want to round the bases, round third, and head for home. So we got Ram Nation. I know many of you are part of Ram Nation. Baden came out. There was 500 people there for this moment. We have an automatic bat. This bat, you press a button and it hits the ball. Not a big deal to you and I, but it sure is to them. Well, in Bobby's case, he couldn't use his hands. We have a little gizmo that he could blow into a straw. So here he is blowing into the straw. He hits the ball. He rounds the bases. We stop him at third. I had a recording of this is the old left-hander. It was one special moment for us. Another special feature is Sheila Gray. She comes out not every week, but here's Sheila from Channel 12. She's been a big supporter. Brother Phil, there's Mom. But I wanted to point out the seats. Again, going back to my cousin, seeing what my uncle grew up with, and aunt raising Shauna, I thought least that we can do is provide seating, some nice seating. Rather than the old hot aluminum bleachers, we put in stadium seats we have 50 for each field over there. We have a adult changing table. We have group homes that come out and participate. So we have an adult changing table for them. We have playgrounds on both sides for the siblings to play on. This is kind of cool. I never knew that bocce was a Special Olympic sport. And Tish is also the president of Special Olympics. Again, Fairfield Community Foundation helped with this. Tish went out and raised the money, so we have two, world-class bocce courts. This is Moats Turf coming out. Amazing organization, too, helped out and did all the turf for us. We year before last, raised money at our annual event to put in a glider. This is a wheelchair accessible glider. Not a big deal to you and I, but a kid in a wheelchair rocking back and forth in this is pretty cool. Just this past year was one of the highlights to me. It's one of the best things we've done. I'm always on the internet searching. I found a wheelchair accessible merry-go-round. Remember the ones we used to play on in the playgrounds and they took them out because they're too dangerous? Well, this is wheelchair accessible. It's flat to the ground. This is the very first ride ever taken by one of our little all-stars here. Let's see if it plays.
Group of kids here tomorrow.
There you go.
Enjoy.
Doing the wave too. So that was a cool moment for us. We have video boards on both fields. We're able to put the kids' image up there. We make them feel special. We got John here, the announcer. We call him the voice of the Miracle League. He's out announcing the kids. He makes them feel special. They're up on the video board. We have walk-up music. We want them to feel like they're at Great American Ballpark. This is special to me. This is a former student of mine, Taylor Brzezinski. I know many of you are familiar with Taylor. We honored him by having his image up on the monster wall. The monster walls are on both fields, just kind of a thing we wanted to do. We saw Boston had the green monster. We thought, we'll have the red monster. And we added, of course, the character traits up there, so it's a nice lesson for people to come down. We just added the flags this year. If anyone works for Interfab, thank you. They donated the flags. We added, Dad's buddy was Bernie Stowe. You don't see it real well, but Bernie and Joe's best seats in the house. So it's kind of like the diamond seats at Great American. These are nice padded seats they can sit in right behind the dugout. Something we were honored to do. I could not say enough about my man Larry. We added the Larry Tischler Family Plaza, and to me it's one of the best things we've added in honor of a guy who I could go on and on. I would not be standing here talking about the Miracle League without Larry Tischler. This was cool. When people kept saying to me, man, your dad's proud of you, he's looking down all the time, and I thought, man, my God, we're going to make this happen. So we got with CF Payne there on the right, and CF designed this, and a lot of steps took place, but this is when we dedicated the image of Dad looking down on the field. I love it. Let's hear from an all-star. I think no one says it best than our players. This was done by one of our buddies. We have some outstanding volunteers. We're a 100% volunteer organization, by the way. You donate $1, it goes to the kids. 100%. I don't make a dime. Tish doesn't make a dime. No one. We're never going to make a dime. It's all about the kids. And this is a great little video of one of our favorite little guys, Levi, a player's perspective. So be just a moment. Oop. Hopefully, maybe not.
Nuxhall field, and we'll keep you updated on all the action.
Amen, brother.
And today's game is sponsored by Geico.
Geico?
Welcome to the Rockies and the Red Sox on Fox TV.
All right, let's get this game started.
Grandma, I'm gonna get 4 hits for all of you.
Okay.
Parker out there watching the field.
Hey everybody.
All right. Here we go.
I'm about
Let's
to
welcome Levi Packer.
Oh! All right. All right. We're gonna get a big hit. You ready, mister? We go without it.
Without it?
Yeah, without it. Are you kidding me? This guy's a pro.
Hit that fastball.
Oh! You can't get him by us. Oh no! Oh no! Good job, little man. Show him the dab. Oh yeah! Second base.
Hey, everybody, I wanted to take it, please.
job. Here we go. Oh, don't let it hit us. Oh, good job. Oh, let's go all the way home. All the way home. Oh, he's chasing us. He's chasing us. Yes. Oh, yeah. All right. Good job. Your hats in the air. 1, 2, 3. All right. Good job. Good job, little man. Oh, he's dabbing. He's dabbing. Do the dab. Oh, yeah.
Levi's got a special announcement.
I just want to say thank you to our subscribers and fans and everybody.
Joe's gonna.
Doesn't get any better than that. Player's perspective right there. Yep. We have some annual activities I want to share. We have an annual Cruise In for Kids car show the end of June, Sunday. It's one of our major fundraisers. Awesome group of volunteers making that happen. Our opening day parade, we did it for the first time this year. It's something I've always wanted to do, give our kids the experience, just like down at Findlay Market. This was the second best thing we've ever done next to when we opened. I love it. Couldn't pick two better role models than Sheila Gray and Anthony Munoz. This was phenomenal. We have our Reds rookie success. I talked about them before at the character part. One of the neat things is every Reds rookie success league player comes to the Miracle League right up the street. They all get a chance to play in a wheelchair. It's teaching that compassion, empathy. That, to me, is what's so important. If we can catch the kids early, we've got a chance to teach them these, what I think is the most important anti-bullying thing we can do is compassion and empathy. School visits, we have schools from all over. This is Beaver Creek. They came down, had special shirts and so on. If you know any school wants to bring their special needs kids out, our doors are open. We'll pay for the busing. We have a grant for that. This was movie night. This is not actually our movie night, but I thought this was the cutest picture. Isn't that cute? You see what that is? They're in little boxes. But we had movie night for our kids, not quite the little boxes, but it was a cool thing for us. We're at our 5th anniversary opening. This is part of our parade, but our Nuxhall Bash 5th anniversary. This is a cool picture from Rozzy Fireworks. They donate a fireworks show for us every year. Wow, you know. And our big event of the year, Miracle Ball, I know many of you have attended. We've honored Sean Casey, Marty, Anthony Munoz, and the family of Taylor Brzezinski this year. This was one special night for us. Future plans, like I said, we do not stop dreaming, and we're not going to for these kids. We're going to build. We raised enough money at this year's Miracle Ball. Thanks for those of you who contributed. We're still looking for donations, but we're going to build a 9-hole wheelchair accessible miniature golf course. This you may recognize from the old golf range in Joyce Park. I saved the dinosaur, I saved the frog and the hippos, so that's going to be part of this, so it's kind of cool. We want to do a wheelchair accessible zip line. It'll be similar to this, but the kids won't get out of the wheelchair. They'll be in the wheelchair, working with Children's Hospital on a design. That's down the road. And the granddaddy is something I know Dad wanted to have done. And we're going to make this happen somehow, some way. We want to build a gymnasium for our kids, be a full year-round facility. On a personal note, Mom's got a lot of stuff in her basement of Dad's. I got a lot of stuff, and I just don't want to throw it out and never ever would sell it. So the front portion of that is kind of be a welcome area and kind of historic area of Dad's stuff that I hope that will inspire people. It's not just baseball history and so on, but I'm working on ways. How can someone walk in there? How's a kid come in there and be inspired to grow up and do something special? So if anyone happens to win the lottery this year, we're here for your tax needs. It's quite a project, but we didn't think really we could do the Miracle League at one point, and it's a $3 million facility, 2.5 donated, so that's the next big dream. So finally, I just want to thank you on behalf of Dad. You are all now official ambassadors, by the way, but it's been an honor. I love speaking about the passion for all of us. It's not just me. It's Larry Tischler. It's John. It's my wife Bonnie. We feel special about this, and I just can't thank the community. Again, TV Hamilton, Journal News, for all they've done to keep Dad's legacy. To like I said, 10 years later to see an image of your dad on the side of a building is something that's really, really humbling and hard to describe. But thanks for allowing me this opportunity. I do want to mention a couple of things. I want to mention it during a few memorabilia type things over there you can take a look at if you want. I got Dad's glove, Ted Kolizewski's glove. The last game Dad did, 2004, his scorebook is up there. You can thumb through one of the microphones and tape recorders he used to do the pregame. Ted Kolizewski bat, you're welcome to pick it up and see how strong Ted was. Dad's hat that he wore at Kansas City, and his hat he wore with the Reds, and his duffel bag too. And also we're going to be giving out a few little goodies. You have your swag bags. If you have a bag that has a character trait on it, we're going to call out that character trait, and you can come up and receive your gift. So it should be written on your bag somewhere outside, if you're the lucky winner. There's 9 lucky winners today. So again, thank you on the behalf of all of us, the Miracle League and the Foundation. I appreciate it. Thank you. All right, if you have courage on your bag. Anyone have courage on their bag? Dwayne! Come on up, Dwayne. You win a bobblehead, buddy. John, you want to take that to him? Good job, Dwayne. If you have respect on your bag, respect, come on up. You win a copy of Doug Coates' Pitching for Success. Mike, congratulations. Doug will sign it for you if you'd like. If you have humility on your swag bag, you win a Miracle Monkey. All right. Brings good luck, too. If you have hard work on your swag bag, you win a Nuxie t-shirt. All right, Marcia. If you have determination on your swag bag. Now, this is pretty cool. This is done by C.F. Payne. If you're not familiar with C.F. Payne, look him up. He's done the front cover of Time magazine. He's done Sports Illustrated, Washington Post. He's one of the renowned illustrators in the world. He did this for us. This is a Sean Casey that he did, and signed by Sean Casey. Where was our winner on that? Right there. The judge. Integrity. I mentioned Season of Life. Here's a copy of Season of Life. If you have integrity on your bag. Anyone? Oh, yeah. All right. And kindness. This is another cool one C.F. Payne did for our event. This is cool. 1869 vintage Reds right here. This is cool. Mr. Ballou, an honor. An honor. Thank you. Responsibility. Actually, one of the last hard copies I've got of Dad's book, Rounding Third and Heading for Home. If you have responsibility on your back. Jack Armstrong, appropriately. I know you have a copy, Jack, but... And self-control. You've all shown very good self-control. Very good. This is another one by C.F. Payne and signed by Marty. This is Dad and Marty image of what I think is pretty cool. So congratulations. Thank you. Thank you all again. Appreciate it.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again, Kim Nuxhall. We really do appreciate it. I got to tell you, when I'm texting my wife and I'm finished for the night, all I have to tell her is that I'm rounding third. So that's the way we talk at our house. So that is our program for today. It's wonderful to see you here again in the Fitness Center.